Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning and happy Tuesday to you. Today is August 1st. Can you believe it? It's the first day of August, 2023, and we're gathered here. We're still here. That's right. That's a good thing. And we're here at 901 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers at the Rockdale County Auditorium. And I want to, Commissioners, go ahead and call our meeting to order. It is shortly after the 10 a.m. hour. And calling our meeting to order this morning, we will start with the presentation of our proposed 2023 millage rate presentation by our Finance Department. We've got the wonderful tag team of Mr. David Corbin, as well as our brand new CFO, Ms. Michelle Azari. They would make their way up at this time. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. How are you?
We're good. Good morning.
We'd like to begin with an informational video on the proposed millage rate.
Hang on one second, because folks will get to shouting from the gallery. We'll make sure that we have the audio ready, and is your microphone on, and if we'll get public relations to make sure we assist with that, to make sure that the microphone is on, and that we're ready to move forward with this presentation. I believe now that we are ready. Is that right, Deputy Director Caldwell? Test that mic. All right, sounds like we're ready. Very good. All right, very good.
Would you like me to start over?
Please do.
Okay, absolutely. We're going to start this morning's proposed millage rate with a video for informational purposes.
What is the millage rate? Well, simply put, it's what you owe in taxes on your property. Each mill represents $1 of $1,000 in property value. The Rockdale County Board of Commissioners has tentatively adopted a 2023 millage rate of 18.69 mils, which will require an increase in property taxes of 17.58%. Now, although the county would be keeping the same millage rate from last year, the state still views it as a tax increase because property values are going up, which is good news for residents who plan on selling their property in the near future, since their property value and home equity have increased. To help lower your tax bill, the homestead exemption and the homestead option sales tax, also known as HOST, can be applied to that amount. So for instance, if your house is valued at $100,000, you would owe approximately $747.60 in taxes. But with both the homestead and HOST exemptions applied, you only owe $116.81. Similarly, if your house is valued at $300,000, you would owe approximately $2,242.80. After applying both the homestead and HOST exemptions, you would only owe $490.61. That's a lot of savings. So where do these tax dollars go? Well, for every dollar paid in taxes, the county receives approximately 18% or 18 cents. Let me repeat that. The county receives approximately 18% or 18 cents. The remaining 82% or 82 cents goes toward the school system, which sets its own millage rate. The 18 cents from each dollar funds public safety, general government, court services, recreation, and transportation. We want to hear from you about what you have to say about this. So be sure to come out to one of the 3 public millage rate hearings. The first one will be held on Tuesday, August 1st at 10 a.m. in the auditorium located at 903 Main Street. The second one will take place on Tuesday, August 1st at 6 p.m. in the auditorium located at 903 Main Street. And the last public hearing will take place on Tuesday, August 8th at 10 a.m. in the auditorium located at 903 Main Street. Following the public hearings, the Board of Commissioners will hold a called meeting to set the millage rate on Tuesday, August 22nd at 10 a.m. in the auditorium located at 903 Main Street. We certainly hope this helps you understand the millage rate better, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming public hearings.
thank you, and thank you to our public relations team for that video. We'll go back to the director.
Yes, we have a presentation that we've put together to explain it. A lot of this information will be the same as we just saw, but this is for the presentation of the proposed millage rate for 2023 tax year. Next slide, please. As you can see, this is the budget allocation for the FY 2023 general fund budget summary. As you can see, the majority, almost half, goes to public safety, which is at 48%. General government is at 29%, court services at 11%, recreation and parks at 8%, and Rockdale DOT at 4%. This is the Tax Digest history. The history goes back to 2012. As you can see, there was a dip in values, but if you've looked at the market out there today and recently, you will know that property value is higher than it has been. This is a slide that shows the millage rate history, again from the history from 2012. As you can see on here, the millage rate in 2022 was 18.69, which is the proposed millage rate for 2023. This slide is an average property tax allocation. On average, this is based on a 2023 homesteaded property, which also has the host exemption. 82% of the revenue goes to school M&O, while 18% goes to county. And here is an example. There's two examples on this slide. This is a sample property tax calculation at the 18.69 mil. If your home is valued at $100,000 in 2023, your estimated property tax with the exemption and 75% of the host exemption would be $116.81. Without these exemptions, your property taxes would be $747.60. There's another example of a home with a value of $300,000. With the homestead exemption and the host exemption, the taxes would be $490.61. Without any exemptions, as you can see, it would be $2,242.80, substantially more. Next slide. The proposed millage rate, as we've discussed, is the 18.69. That results in collections from property taxes of $64,696,542 and non-property taxes of $36,765,520, which is a total of 2023 revenues of $101,462,062. Again, this is with the proposed 2023 millage rate, which is the same as the 2022 millage rate of 18.69. And here's our timeline. We're gathered here today at the first public hearing at 10 a.m. There will be another public hearing this evening at 6 o'clock. There will be one on August 8th at 10 a.m., and then a called meeting for the setting of the millage rate on August 22nd at 10 a.m. All of these will be held at the auditorium. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to yield to Commissioner Washington. Commissioner?
Sure. Good morning. This year, the governor has also, the state of Georgia is giving a credit to homeowners. Has there been an analysis with that credit? I would like to see an analysis with that credit on the $100,000 and $300,000 homes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Williams, any questions? Thank you, Director. Mr. Corbin, thank you all so much. All right. Executive Director Rutledge, I think now we're transitioning over to public comment for the millage rate. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And this morning, public comment will be 3 minutes per speaker, and comments relative to the millage rate will be accepted, and we will begin taking public comments for anybody who's filled out the red card, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So far we have just one card. If you're interested in public comment, we'd like for you to take this opportunity to go ahead now and fill that card out. Okay. All right. Do you want to read the disclaimer? Or
There's no disclaimer this morning. It'll be 3 minutes per speaker, and comments are relative to the millage rate. It's a
Thank you
public
so
hearing.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. First speaker up is Mr. George Kelichek. Come on up, Mr. Kelichek.
Good morning, Chairman,
Morning.
Commissioners, Rockdale County citizens, George Kelichek, I, the Taxpayer Association. Here we are again, a year later, looking at a 39 to 40% tax increase overall if you live in the city. I would ask that the three silos, the city, the county, and the Board of Education, all come together and start sharing their budget information and attending each other's meetings so we know exactly what these tax increases are going to look like overall. I have some information I'm going to share with you this morning. Our commercial parcels are 2,252, residential 33,403. Our revenue per parcel on a commercial property is $1 million. On a residential, it's only $255,000. So I'll ask you to take a serious look at this information from the tax assessor's office so you'll have a complete understanding of both what the commercial properties bring to Rockdale County and also the residents. I think you'll find it quite interesting and informational. I will also share this with the CREDC, the Board of Education, and the City of Conyers. Efficiency. I know that Sue Sanders took the opportunity to put detection devices on all our county vehicles. Let us ensure that we're looking at extensive idling. When gas is going up to $3.50 a gallon and you got vehicles extensive idling for over a half hour, a lot of dollars going out the exhaust pipe. There's 540 acres on Union Church and Oglesby Bridge Road that was supposed to be re-timbered by March of 2021. Looking at observations, it has still not been done, so we've lost 2 years of timber growing, and we can harvest our timber trees within 20 years in the state of Georgia. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is on board to come and do a 100% federally funded assessment of the Haynes watershed, but they will also assist our RWR Water Department in leak detection and assisting with infrastructure repairs. You do have on your table, I have shared with the director of your water department the analysis. Remember, we have a 36% loss of our billable water, so improving the infrastructure will help. Thank you very much, and I'll leave these behind for you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelichek, and thank you for all that you do on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County. I don't have any other public comment cards. I'll make sure we afford everyone an opportunity to speak during public comment. If you have a card and you wish to speak regarding the millage rate, and General, he could come on up. Yes, sir. Come on up and. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Tyrone Morrell, is that it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morrell. Good morning, Mr. Morrell.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
citizens of Rockdale. I'm kind of new at this. I moved out here in 2009 with the prospects of a nice retirement community. First of all, I'd like to thank the public service of the law enforcement here in the county. We have the exception of having a safe community. But since I've been here, I've gradually noticed change, not in demographics, but change in the appearance of the county. When I first moved out here, Highway 138 and down here at the Salem Road exit was nice and manicured, You know, I really enjoyed driving around the county, and I know I'm gonna get to my point. Driving around the county and really seeing how well kept the county was. That's the change that kind of gets under me. I'm retired military, 100% total and permanent disabled veteran. I love this county. I love the community, but I'm concerned at the overtaxing. I've watched my property tax just go through the roof. And there's some of us in this county, you know, we can't afford to keep up with government. We can't afford to keep up with government where we see all of this building and all this stuff going on in the county, but we don't see anything that reflects the people from a standpoint. So I'm gonna keep this short. I am really concerned about the taxes going up and up and up and up. But as a citizen, I really would like to see something that reflects us as a community and not just government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrell, and thank you for all that you do on behalf of Rockdale County. I do want to encourage, I think Director Mims is probably the closest in proximity from my leadership team. Make sure that Mr. Morrell has the right contact information for Director Barkley as well as my office so that we can inform and educate him. He brought out some very valid points about being proud of this community, proud of the fact that we are a safe community, but he's concerned. He wants to see a return on his investment. He wants to see where the money is going. And I think that that's a great opportunity, directors, for us to sit down with Mr. Morrell and explain to him and perhaps give him that tour of the county and some of the things that he may not be aware of so he'll have an understanding. And I also want to point out one of the things, Commissioners, that Mr. Morrell pointed out, the Highway 138 and Highway 20 corridor. It often confuses a lot of our residents. As you know, Highway 138 is the state route that runs through Rockdale County. It cuts off there in the middle of the city of Conyers as it turns to go east towards Stockbridge. The remaining portion is also Highway State Route 20, which both are state-maintained intersections, or should I say roadways. We work very closely. Our Rockdale Department of Transportation works very closely with the Georgia Department of Transportation. And I tell you, Mr. Morrell, you're absolutely right. Throughout these last few weeks of the summer months, we've had a lot of rain. We've getting a lot of growing up. Seems like we go out and, or the state sends their contractors down to cut on Monday, and by Thursday of the same week, between the sun, heat, and the rain, the grass is back up. We have a very robust code enforcement and community improvement team that works in the county, the unincorporated area of the county. We work very closely with the Georgia Department of Transportation and the city of Conyers. But there's so much more to tell you, and I certainly appreciate you coming out, but we want to make sure we take advantage of the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Morrell and explain to him exactly where his tax dollars are going. The last thing I'll add to that, Commissioners, because oftentimes in passing, we don't have this opportunity to really explain. Just like all of the restaurants, the hospitality industry, and any other industry in America, here in Rockdale County, our county employee workforce has been impacted and affected just like everybody else as post-COVID. We hosted, I think about 2 weeks ago, an employee summit job fair to bring in employees because our manpower is down and we're struggling just like every other industry. Not to make any excuses, but to tell you really what's going on from a point of reality. There's so much more to share and to enlighten you with. I do appreciate your approach and your attitude toward this presentation this morning. So certainly you'll hear from Executive Director Barkley, and I'm sure that Director Mims have already made sure that you will get the contact to have a face-to-face, one-on-one interaction with us before you leave out. Thank you. Commissioners, this is what it's all about. It's being responsive to our citizens and being able to explain and inform what's happening and not allowing them to just lean on what they're hearing in the hedges of our community. Executive Director Rutledge, what's our point of order at this point?
So if the board has no further comment, we can adjourn this meeting and go into work session.
I'm going to yield to Commissioner Washington.
Well, first I would like to thank, I had the privilege of seeing the video on the internet, and I thought PR did an excellent job in explaining the millage rate. And then, of course, finance, especially since our executive director is brand new, our CFO is brand new. I thought that they did an outstanding job trying to explain all of this. So those are my only comments.
Commissioner Williams.
So I really couldn't say much different than what Commissioner Washington just said, but thank you to Public Relations and to our Finance Department for the presentations. They do help to clarify, how much money a homeowner actually will pay, and how much of that, all of that money that they pay, the county actually gets. And because the schools do get the majority of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. So at this time, the millage rate, our first hearing for 2023, has been cleared, and we will be calling this meeting to adjournment.
Right.
Now, as we transition, we're closing out one meeting, and we're going to keep it moving if that's the pleasure of the board, commissioners, that we keep moving forward.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. All right. Now we will move on to our regular work session this morning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, after you call to order, I would like to take the program back.
All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now calling our meeting to order for the work session here, August 1st, 2023, 901 Main Street in the Rockdale Auditorium.
So, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I have one item that consists of a few other items for you to vote on this morning before we roll into our regular work session. So, number 2, and it's item A, B, C, D, and E. And these are all taken collectively. This is a right-of-way land acquisition for the Courtesy Parkway project. This is the orders and resolutions and declaration of takings. It will read as order and resolution to authorize the acquisition of parcels of land for public road right-of-way and other uses in various land lots and land districts of Rockdale County, Georgia, by negotiated contract or condemnation pursuant to the provisions of Title 22 and 32 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated. Further, declaration of takings in several acres, permanent easements, and for the constructions and maintenance of slopes and various temporary demolition easements. This is presented to you this morning for approval.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve these order and resolutions and declaration of takings as presented.
So I have a question, a point of order, actually. A lot of these are some of these are Springfield, and as most people know, that is my church. I do believe I need to recuse on anything Springfield related. So how do we do that if we're going to do?
So we can do one of two things. We can take these all separately, or we could have Commissioner Williams and the chair vote, and you can recuse.
I'll recuse. That'll
Okay,
be
so you have a
faster.
motion on the floor, and if the chairman would like to second?
I second the motion. It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And I think, I want to take a moment to thank Commissioner Washington for taking a point of privilege there to recuse herself. She's an active member of the Springfield Baptist Church, and I do appreciate your leadership on that, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. That closes out the voting session of this agenda this morning. And now we'll move on to special recognitions and presentations. So with that, we have Ms. Anna Roach from the Atlanta Regional Commission this morning to give an update.
All right.
Chairman Nesbitt, how are you, sir?
Good morning. Good morning.
Members of the board, I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for allowing the Atlanta Regional Commission to address this distinguished body, as well to have an opportunity to speak to constituents who are both in person and those joining us virtually. Rockdale County continues to grow and flourish, and it is also a critical member of our broader metropolitan Atlanta region. Before I get started today, I want to acknowledge the representatives on the Atlanta Regional Commission Board that represent Rockdale County. Of course, Chairman Nesbitt is a member of our board, and I don't know if he shares this with you, but I talk with Chairman Nesbitt about all things ARC and all things in between. He's both a mentor and an excellent board member and represents the county very well at the regional table. Mayor Vince Williams is also the mayoral Vince Evans is also the mayoral representative representing Rockdale County, and your citizen member is Murphy Talmadge. Rockdale is a very important and vital partner to what we do at the Atlanta Regional Commission. And of course, our principal motivation and mission of the Regional Commission is to enhance quality of life all across the region, to spark economic growth, as well to achieve our vision of one great region. Next slide, please. This vision of one great region is frankly a part of our new strategic framework that was adopted by the board earlier this year. And the employees of the Atlanta Regional Commission work every day to foster this vision for the region. And frankly, we would like to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to share in this vision. We want our region to be a place where everybody has the opportunity to flourish, no matter where your zip code is, no matter what county you live in, and no matter what city you live in. And frankly, we'd also like to make sure that the economy and the quality of life in our county remains second to none compared to other regions across the United States. So for this discussion, I will focus on one of the region's biggest challenges, which is transportation. And you'll see in a moment that we are in an update year for our long-range strategic plan, which is one of the reasons why I'm here as well, because it's important for us to hear the voices of the elected officials of Rockdale County, as well as the voices of the constituents as we consider and finalize this federally required update to our long-range plan. This plan holds the promise of shaping Rockdale County and shaping the broader region as well, but it's very important for us to hear your voices as we update this long-range plan. Next slide. Before I get into the specifics of the plan update, I do want to tell you a little bit about the Atlanta Regional Commission, for those of you who aren't familiar with the work that we do. ARC is one of 12 regional commissions in the state of Georgia. They were all created by the Georgia Planning Act, and the primary and principal purpose of those regional commissions was to help local communities with comprehensive planning and community planning. Well, since the establishment of those 12 regional commissions, ARC's responsibility, our portfolio of things that we have responsibility for, has grown significantly in that time. We now have responsibility for beyond community planning, aging services, and we have a great partnership with Rockdale Senior Services. We also do community and economic development. We provide water resources management through the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District. And then we also provide Homeland Security services under the federal UASI program. Specific to Rockdale, last year alone, we funded several initiatives through that portfolio of services that we provide at ARC. We allocated just above $123 million in state and federal transportation funds for projects across the county in Rockdale. This includes allocating $120 million for the I-20 and Panola Road interchange, We also worked closely with the school system to replace school buses with clean energy diesel buses in the county. And then one of my favorite projects was the widening of Highway 162 from Old Salem Road to Flat Shoals Road. And speaking of our partnership with Rockdale Senior Services, last year we provided $600,000 in state and federal funds to Rockdale Senior Services. And for those, especially elected officials, you know those services to seniors are critical for them. They provide transportation services to doctor's appointments, grocery stores, and those critical transportation trips that seniors often have difficulty making. The funding also goes to the provision of congregate meals, in-home services as well, helping seniors make sure that they continue to live with dignity as a part of our community, and making sure that our older adults and disabled adults thrive as a part of Rockdale County. So we're happy to partner with the senior services agencies of our counties to be able to do that. And finally, I'd like to highlight the almost $6 million in study grants that was provided by ARC to the county, as well as transportation funding for the Conyers Town Center LCI. Those of you who are familiar, our Livable Centers Initiative is a program that we are proud of. We like to spend transportation dollars to make sure we improve roads and bridges, but we also want to make and build livable communities within our member jurisdictions as well. So we're proud to partner with Rockdale on those LCI initiatives as well. Next slide. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the purpose of my appearance before the board today is to talk about our long-range comprehensive transportation plan that we maintain at ARC. We have sort of a three-legged stool in how we implement federal dollars. And let me tell you before I get into that why this should matter to this board and to the constituents listening. Over the course of our plan, which goes all the way through 2050, ARC will allocate over $173 billion worth of transportation funds all across the region. And that's not an amount to sneeze at. It's a significant amount of money. We want to make sure that Rockdale projects are prioritized as a part of this long-range plan. So that's why it matters. Because we have such a big responsibility for allocating federal funding, we have sort of a three-legged stool approach to how we plan for the implementation of those dollars. First, I talked about our multi-decade long-range plan, which is required again by the federal government. We have to be strategic in how we implement the dollars, and so we have to plan long-term for that. And that's our multi-decade plan. Well, in between that plan, every 4 years we update that plan to ensure that our population estimates, our transportation assumptions, to make sure those things are true and that we don't have something like a major global pandemic, right, that changes the way we think about how we commute and communicate with each other. And then finally, the third leg of that stool, and what you all may be most familiar with, is our annual actual implementation of those dollars into communities through our TIP, or Transportation Improvement Plan program. I promise you, if you don't know what that is, your DOT knows what that is, because they will work very closely with our folks at ARC to make sure that Rockdale is represented in those annual implementation TIP amendments. So those are the three ways in which we plan for the implementation of those dollars. And again, making sure that Rockdale's voice is heard on the long-range plan, the 4-year update, and the annual implementation is our ultimate goal. Next slide. So digging a little deeper, again, if you look at that multi-decade plan and wanting to ensure that the Rockdale transportation projects are prioritized as a part of that plan, I want to give you a few examples of what's currently contemplated within that plan. Courtesy Parkways planned to be extended to take some of the strain, frankly, off Highway 138, while 138 and I-20 is being improved. And so that's a project that's already contemplated in that plan. It will also provide a critical connection of businesses after the interchange construction is complete as well. So very important project for the county there. Old Conyers Trail will also be connected to the Rockdale River Trail, which is an important connection. One of the projects that I'm most proud of at ARC is our comprehensive trail study. And ultimately, it will be one of the most important alternatives to transportation that we implement if we do it well across the region. And if we do it well, we'll be able to walk from Metro Atlanta all the way to parts of other neighboring states through our comprehensive trail network, and Rockdale is playing a big part in that. Also adding a key link in our regional trail network, that river trail will link all the way to the Arabia Mountain Trail, the Panola Mountain Greenway, as well as the South River Trail. So Rockdale, again, remains a critical partner in that expansion and implementation of our trail network. We really and truly hope that the Metro Atlanta Trail System will soon be the envy of other trail systems across the nation as I visit other regions and see what they have planned for trails. It's certainly not as aggressive and comprehensive as we have here in Metro Atlanta. So those are just a few examples of some of the things that are currently contemplated in the long-range plan. And again, Rockdale's participation in this update will be important. Speaking of the update, I want to talk to you about, again, why it is that every 4 years we take a look at this plan to double-check our assumptions, right? Think about some of the things that are happening. Well, for one, our region is continuing to grow. We do a lot of research and analytics at the Atlanta Regional Commission. It's a big part of what we do because we want to make sure that our decisions and our investments are data-centered. Our research and analytics department, their population estimates tell us that our region is going to grow by 1.8 million people by 2050. And to put that in context, if you've ever been to Nashville, that's like picking up the entire region of Nashville and putting it here in Metro Atlanta. Now, we're not nervous about growth. Growth is good. Any healthy region ought to be growing. But in order to accommodate that growth, you do need to plan for it. Otherwise, it will overwhelm your school systems, your transportation systems, and the like. Speaking of growth, Rockdale County itself will experience growth over the next several decades as well. Our population estimates show that Rockdale will grow by 11,300 residents by 2050. So again, I think great leadership like the leadership that's exhibited here is necessary to be able to plan for and accommodate that growth that Rockdale and the broader region will see and experience. So another good reason, again, for us to take a 4-year look at this plan. The other big driver is technology. Think about, from the bipartisan infrastructure law, all of the aspirations that this federal government has talked about in terms of amplifying the adoption rate for electrification, electronic vehicles all across the country and the Metro Atlanta region. We're going to need to be prepared to absorb that transition from gas-operated vehicles to electric vehicles. We need to make sure that the electric vehicle charging infrastructure is in place in our communities. And so again, that's another good reason why we need to continue to take a look at the plan to be able to adapt to those kinds of things. And you know, the biggest thing of all, COVID-19 has fundamentally changed the way that we commute. What we have normally come to or gotten used to, our 9 a.m. rush hour, 5 p.m. rush hour, that's no longer the traffic patterns because COVID-19 has taken us into different work patterns.
Yes.
Lots of alternative work schedules have led to traffic patterns going all haywire, for lack of a better word. And so we have to take a look at the plan to make sure that the way that we've predicted traffic patterns in the past can be updated so that we can plan for transportation investments accordingly. Next slide. Thanks for switching that for me. So I won't spend a lot of time on this slide except to reassure this commission that as we look to implement that $173 billion over several decades in Metro Atlanta, that we are strategic and that we are focusing on promoting healthy communities, fostering a competitive economy, and making sure that while we do that, we are engaging our key stakeholders all across the region. And these goals align with our overall goals at the Atlanta Regional Commission as well. And again, this is all toward this singular vision of having one great region. Next slide. So the transportation planning process is here. We're in the middle of our 4-year update, and there's still plenty of opportunity for Rockdale constituents to participate in that process. This QR code, and commissioners will make sure you have a copy of this deck and access to this QR code, but this QR code leads constituents to the survey. And their responses to that survey will inform the updates that we will be implementing in this 4-year plan. So over the next 6 months, as we finalize this plan and take it to the board, Chairman Oz will have an opportunity to vote on it. We want to enlist your help and support in helping us to socialize this survey and making sure constituents, as many constituents in Rockdale County as possible, participate in the survey so that we can hear and incorporate their voice in this 4-year plan update. Next slide. Just want to close by saying thank you so much for being such a great partner so far, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to achieve the goals of the Atlanta Regional Commission, as well as our vision to create one great region. So that brings my presentation to a close, Chairman Nesbitt. Glad to entertain questions at your pleasure.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so much. I'm going to hold my comments as I yield to Commissioner Washington and then to Commissioner Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for all the great work that you all are doing throughout the region. One of my concerns is it seems as if we have great plans, but there's no education component with the citizens on why we need, for example, a greater transportation system. It seems as if it would be intuitive, but oftentimes, especially when you're talking about public transportation, there's pushback from that. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see what the ARC has, if there are any plans to incorporate a education component for the citizens in the need and the great ideas for transportation.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'd like to start off by saying the Atlanta Regional Commission represents a 20-county area, all the way from Carroll to Forsyth. And so what each community needs in terms of education and conversation around transportation is going to vastly differ. So I really appreciate that question because, again, we're going to be looking to you as elected officials and leaders of the county to help tell us what it is that we can provide as a regional commission to your community. Number one, we do have the survey, and we're going to get responses to the survey. But part of the socialization of our 4-year plan update does include focus groups that the Atlanta Regional Commission will be conducting in each community. So that's one way we can have citizen participation, citizen education around the importance of transportation and get their voice in the update. But it doesn't need to stop at the things that ARC currently has planned. Again, we'd love to meet with you to talk about how we can better inform your constituents and what we need to do to make sure that Rockdale is both engaged and informed on transportation options. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to introduce the Chief Operating Officer for the Atlanta Regional Commission, Mike Alexander, because I'm not as smart as he is, and I may have missed something that, did I miss anything on citizen engagement, Mike?
I think Metro Atlanta speaks also.
Metro Atlanta speaks? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
If you would come to the mic, what we're trying to make sure we do in the realm of education and information is keep this message going to our citizens. Thank you.
I think as a long-serving ARC employee, we recognize it's ongoing. It's a continual need to make sure we're trying to hear from the citizens first. That's why Anna has been so driven towards us doing that survey. I really do hope you take the time to fill out the survey. It's only 38 questions. We really do want to hear from you. We really put a lot of thought into those questions because they help us understand what the core need is, and we know that's a two-way loop as well. And so Metro Atlanta Speaks is our regional survey that will give us county-level results that we'll be processing with you. Once those results are finished, we typically release those during State of the Region. Anna came on board and said, Metro Atlanta Speaks, we used it in Fulton County, and we've continued to do that as a core resource for our counties as well. There's a constant need to educate on the costs of transit too. We continue to fund county-level studies. We worked with the ATL. You had VHB working on your transit plan that we helped fund in 2021. I just looked it up. That was what was on the computer. I'm looking at our dashboards to remember all the studies we've done. And typically when we do those studies, that is a great moment. We're supporting all of our counties. All of our counties receive CTP, Comprehensive Transportation Plan funds, to do your own studies to help flesh out those ideas, because we know mobility matters, right? Access to jobs, if you ask me as a planner, because that's what I really am, giving people an opportunity to get to a great job is critical for us. So we're continually trying to find multimodal options through those studies when we program it.
But nobody knows your constituency better than you.
Right.
And so if we can do more, please help us to reach them by meeting with us and telling us what your community needs in terms of education.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
I get really excited about studies and strategic plans, and because they really do guide where you're going, and they assist in the gathering of all the data so that you can make good decisions. And I appreciate what the ARC does. And just the other day, in fact, I texted some of my friends and said, be sure to take the transportation survey, sent them the link. So I'm hoping that many people will. You know, we hear, we need our citizens to fill out that survey, because we hear two extreme sides. One, we need MARTA, and the other is we don't need anything in terms of public transportation. And what we really need is I think, is something in between all of that, but we don't know that until people fill out the survey.
100%. The other thing that we can assist with, Commissioner, is helping constituents to understand the projected growth for Rockdale County. You know, one option is to do nothing, but if you choose that option, you're also accepting that you're not planning for the growth that is projected to happen in Rockdale County. Now, they're going to come anyway, right? You can plan for it or not, but it's going to happen. And so trying to make sure that every community grows in the way that it wants to grow is our goal at the Atlanta Regional Commission. And again, the communities we represent could not be more different. And so it's not our job to come in and tell communities how to grow or what to do, but really to partner with them to make sure that their community is continuing to flourish and will grow in the way that they would like for it to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And in the space that both Commissioner Washington alluded to regarding more education and information about transportation in terms of what ARC is doing across the region, in addition to what Commissioner Williams says, one of the things I do want to say that we're very proud of here in Rockdale County is that we have an annual Transportation Summit. And our Director of Transportation, Rockdale Department of Transportation, Director Brian Kelly, and his staff does a wonderful job. But each year, we identify a date where we exclusively talk about transportation in Rockdale County. And it's an opportunity for us to hear from our local residents. In addition to that, encouraging folks through our own public relations department to take our local survey, to take the regional survey from ARC, and to continue to put that message out. I really like what you just said about the growth. It's going to happen. We can be a county or a community that sits on our laurels and not do anything, and in 20, 30, 40 years from now, the county will be a mess because the leadership chose to do nothing. All about future growth considers planning. You have to plan, you have to prepare. So the relationship we have with ARC, myself, and Mayor Vince Evans, who represents our region, represents Rockdale County. But Ms. Roach, right before you take a seat, I want you to just take an extra moment or two to, oftentimes it's confusing to constituents. It's an alphabet soup of ARC and ATL and all of these different entities across the region that help us do what we do. Talk about ARC and just give us the gist for that person who's watching and listening to this broadcast who may be confused when we say ARC and they're not sure. What does the Atlanta Regional Commission do in our region, and why is that important to Rockdale County?
Yeah, so remember when I talked about the $173 billion? Here's what ARC's role is in a nutshell. We build nothing, right? Someone has to ultimately take that federal investment and make it become reality by building a road, building a bridge, or investing it in other transportation. That is not what the Atlanta Regional Commission does. That's what Rockdale DOT does. That's what Georgia DOT does. That's what your transit systems do as well. But what the federal government is very focused on is ensuring that that $173, before it goes to anybody that builds something, it comes through the Atlanta Regional Commission to ensure that it is within our long-range plan.
Absolutely. And
not a dime in federal dollars can be spent on any road, bridge, or transit system unless it is in a regional commission's or a metropolitan planning organization's long-range plan. They want to make sure that those investments are strategically invested, that there are regional and statewide views of those investments. And so our job is to work with local communities to make sure that their comprehensive plans are up to date, that their transportation plans are up to date, and that ultimately those local plans match the regional plan. And so that's our role. And then the federal government allocates the federal dollars. We confirm that it's consistent with our long-range planning, and then the funding gets allocated to the, MARTAs or the DOTs of the world so that they can build something. So we're sort of the critical link between the allocation of the funds and the implementation or execution of those funds.
Well, I want to say thank you for the presentation this morning. I also want to remind my colleagues that we really have ARC at our disposal because with so many different community initiatives and projects, they're just one phone call away. They're often down here, Jim, Mike, the whole team. I just remember a few months ago when we implemented the infrastructure task force led by Director Margaret Moore Jackson. She was able to reach out to ARC, and through the leadership and the collaboration, it's a word we've been really highlighting here lately, the collaboration between Rockdale County and the Atlanta Regional Commission is just second to none. And we certainly do appreciate the partnership. You all are always willing to come. Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Williams, if you have an initiative or a community project and you need the expertise of ARC, they will be here, as the kids said in the 70s, lickety split. So just give them a call and they'll be down here to support whatever you have going on. Thank you so much. And if there aren't any other questions for Ms. Roach, we'll conclude this part of our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the board.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Executive Director, I think we are now ready for agenda review.
We are, and if you would like, I will get started. We will review the items that will be on your voting session agenda for next Tuesday, August the 8th.
Okay.
And I will keep going unless you need to interrupt me.
All right.
All right, thank you. Item 345 is with Jericho Design Group, LLC, through the Board of Commissioners Office. This is the design professional services for the judicial and administrative complex. The amount is $5,625,500. It is for 42 months with 4-month extension past the project completion. Item 346 is with the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget for the District Attorney's Office for the Community Violence Intervention and Violent Crime Reduction Project Grant. The amount is $1,050,528.60. There is no match. The term is August 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2026. Item 347 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through the Juvenile Court. This is for fiscal year 24 Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant. The amount is $259,535. There is no match. The term is July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Item 348 is with ACCG Local Government Risk Management Services. This is for the Rockdale County Emergency Management Agency and Risk Management for the 2023 Employee Safety Grant. The amount is $9,733.25. There is no match. It's a single-year grant award, and this will be submitted for ratification next Tuesday. Item 349 is with Priority Dispatch to the EMA Communications Department. This is change order number 1 to contract 2020-120 to add the Pro QA Fire and Law Enforcement CAD modules. It's an additional $189,421, and 50% is due in 2023. Item 350 is with Infotech Research Group through the Technology Services Department. This is for online IT research and advisory membership services. The amount is $25,078.09. The term is for 1 year. Item 351 is with Comcast Enterprise through Technology Services Department for a new Comcast service at Fire Station 7. The amount is $99.90 per month plus a one-time fee of $129.95 for 36 months. Item 352 is with Pratt Recycling through the General Services Department. This is for dumpster services for county facilities, and it's a unit price contract. It's change order number 1 to contract 2022-118. This is to implement monthly fuel surcharge, an additional $2,480.43 per month. The previous estimated yearly cost was $199,730.40, and this is to renew the term through August 8th, 2024. Item 353 is with the Georgia Department of Transportation through the General Services Department. This is for additional documents requested by GDOT for the EMA 911 Center Cost to Cure Agreement. The amount is $6,000 paid to the county.
That's good.
Item 354 is with NAVCare through the Sheriff's Office. This is for the Inmate Health Services. This is contract change order number 5 to contract 2020-98. This is for the price increase and renewal of $2,923,301.40 per year. The previous amount was $2,888,099.96 per year, and this is for the 1-year renewal. Item 355 is with Tandem Mobility through the Parks and Recreation Department. This is for a turnkey bike share program. The amount is $22,000 per year, $3,500 one-time fee. This is for 3 years. It's billed annually, and this is host funded.
Can someone explain this program to
Director
the
Redmond.
citizens?
Director Redmond is making his way up to the podium. Director, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Madam Commissioners. This item on the agenda is for a turnkey bike share program. So if you've ever been down to Beltline and some of the other parks and trails in other counties and cities, they have a bike share program where you can walk up and swipe your card to rent a bicycle and ride it for a certain amount of time on the trails to enjoy the trails. It's another alternative to getting residents out to exercise and explore the parks and trail systems.
So will we, are you going to give us information at a later date on where it starts and where the bikes are and what trail to use?
Yes, ma'am. I just had a call last Thursday with the organization as we're working on the laying the footprint and getting everything uploaded in the database to get the bikes ready to roll out. So that I will have a presentation coming up in a later board meeting to help educate and help everyone understand just how the turn system will work.
Are any of these the new electric bikes, which I need?
I knew that question was going to come up. There are not e-bikes as of yet. We can always add the e-bikes to the racks. We wanted to start out with just a regular pedal system right now. As the trails grow and we add additional trails, we will definitely go back to add the e-bikes. We are really, and the reason being right now, because our trails, we are not, no electronic, traveling, anything supposed to be on the trail, so we have to go back and update the signs and the rules and regulations first before we put e-bikes there.
So will any of the bikes be children-sized bikes, or are they all adult-sized bikes?
They're unisex bikes. They are adult size. They have like a basket in the front to sit your belongings in, and it has the V-shaped center of the bike, so they are unisex bikes.
Is there the opportunity to rent
There is an
children's
opportunity to bring the
bikes?
children bikes as well. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Those are all of my questions.
All right.
All right.
Well, there's a lot of excitement about the bikes coming to Rockdale County.
Right.
We've had a lot of feedback from the community about, you know, what happens is, commissioners, so many of our constituents move throughout the region and they go into other municipalities and counties. They see all of these amenities, and then they fill out the survey, or they call the director, or they email the chairman, or they text the chairman, and they ask, why don't we have that in Rockdale County? So oftentimes we've been tiptoeing into progress. We're going to start with these bikes, and I know the excitement will go from that point, and then before you know it, we'll have the e-bikes here. But it's an opportunity to introduce a different form of recreation here in Rockdale County, get people moving, get them excited. These bikes will be able to cater to adults, unisex, as well as young people. And we want to encourage folks to get out and move throughout our community and participate in all of the different amenities we do have here with our Parks and Recreation. I want to commend Director Redmond, because we talked about this some time ago, and he did a lot of research looking for what would be a good fit for Rockdale County as a start. And I knew that the question would come, and I appreciate what Commissioner Washington asked about the E-system, because that's one of the most popular new systems that's out there. But the director explained our digital platform here in Rockdale County to be compatible. We have to do some infrastructure things along the pathway of our trails in order to cater to that. A lot of folks see just what's on the surface. They don't know what's underneath in terms of the planning and preparing for different amenities. We're headed in the right direction. This is a great start. There's going to be a lot of excitement about having the bikes throughout the trails here in Rockdale County. He stated that he will come back and give an extensive presentation about the logistics, where you can pick the bike up, a part of what trail and pathway that it'll be on. We're looking forward to that in the days ahead. Commissioners, again, this is what our citizens have been asking for. This is what we're advocating for as leaders of the community, to be able to provide different things for different people. And this is just another one of those things. So we're going to get to cycling here in Rockdale County. Absolutely.
Are you going to participate, Chair?
Yes, I am.
You're going to get on one of the?
Yes, I am.
You're not going to wait for the e-bike?
In fact, this past weekend, I just did a little bit of cycling this past weekend. I got a picture. I'll send it to you later.
Please do. I can't wait to post that.
So if we have these bikes, what about helmets?
Oh, we had to bring our own helmet.
Yes, and again, that's another thing that we're working on with the organization for the safety equipment, being able to make that available to the citizens as they rent the bikes. Most people will, though, just because of how COVID has changed the complexity of things, will prefer to have their own personal helmet instead of wanting to share helmets with each other. But that is something that we're looking at.
I'm just thinking, you know, if I was walking down and I thought, oh, I could rent a bike, you know, would there be a helmet available also?
Yes, ma'am. Good question. So again, we're looking into that with the organization as to how other communities have implemented that same type of helmet sharing program as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. All right.
Okay.
Executive Director.
Item 356 is with the Federal Highway Administration Office of Safety through the Transportation Department. This is for Safe Streets and Roads for All Grant Program grant. The county match is $60,000 to accept the total grant funds of $240,000, and it's through June 30th, 2025. Item 357 is with the Collaborative through the Planning and Development Department. This is for infrastructure master planning and professional support services in an amount not to exceed $75,000. The term is for 5 months. Item 358 is with the United States Department of the Interior through the U.S. Geological Survey through the Water Resources Department. This is for the Georgia long-term monitoring. This is change order number 1 to contract 2022-201 to increase the contribution by $22,900. The previous amount was $90,100 and is through December 31st, 2023. Item 359 is with ProFence through the Water Resources Department to remove, dispose, and install 2 new fences at the reservoir in the amount of $47,441.07. Item 360 is with Calgon Carbon Corporation through the Water Resources Department for the FilterZorb 820 carbon media changeout on filter number 1 and number 2 in the amount of $468,560. The term is 90 days. Item 361 is with Axon Enterprise to the Fire and Rescue Department for Body Cam for Fire EMS bundle. This is a body-worn camera in the amount of $8,116.74 per year. This is for 1 year with the option to renew 4 additional 1-year periods. Item 362 is with Tammy D. Myers for the Adult Drug and Superior Court Case Manager. This is change order number 1 to contract 2023-07. This is to decrease the hourly rate from $37 an hour to $29.50 per hour due to reduction in grant funds. This is through September 30th, 2023, and this is a grant-funded expenditure.
So I have a question on that one. I don't know if anybody's here that has the answer, but that's a pretty significant reduction in payment and hourly rate, and I know that Tammy does some really amazing work with the folks in our accountability courts. Is there some way to make up that other piece of that from $29.50 to $37 that she's been getting?
I would be interested in seeing how we can, if there's a way to make up that revenue also.
So, thank you, Commissioners. What I want to do at this point is yield to Chief Sanders, that you would get with our Finance Department and Mr. Corbett and our new CFO, and then let's circle back to the Commissioners at the appropriate time in the appropriate setting. So, Commissioners, thank you for your input on that. We will certainly follow back up.
Okay.
All right, next item, please.
Right, thank you. Item 363 is with Hanson Aggregates Southeast through the Stormwater Management Department. This is for the unit price aggregates on an as-needed basis. It's change order number 1 to contract 2022-106. This is a name change to Heidelberg Materials Southeast Ag LLC, and is estimated amount of $19,300 per year price increase, and to renew the term through July 11th, 2024. Item 364 is a requisition through Technology Services Department for CDWG. This is for the Keyboard Surface Pros and iPads. The amount is $51,371.47. This is host funded. Item 365 is a requisition through the Fire and Rescue Department for Fireline. This is for the short jacking added to the Quint ladder truck. The amount is $17,600. Item 366 is a requisition through the Talent Management Department for Leader Gov. This is for the KPI Planning Project. The amount is $15,000 and it's host funded. Item 367 is a requisition through the EMA Department for Motorola Solutions. This is for the equipment at the site of 2120 Farmer Road Northwest. This is the service from August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024. The amount is $69,100.18. Item 368 is a requisition through the General Services Department for Jericho Design Group. This is professional services for Phase 2 of the design and engineering of construction documents for Restorative Justice Complex located at 2800 Highway 138. The amount is $107,765. This is ARPA funded. Item 369 is a requisition through General Services Department for Physical Link Communications. This is for the AV, lighting rig equipment, and installation for the auditorium. The amount is $24,813. Item 370 is a requisition through Parks and Recreation Department for Pro Fence. This is to replace the employee entrance gate at Costley Mill Park. The amount is $15,254.13. Item 371 is a requisition for the water treatment plant through Hawkins Incorporated. This is for Algicides Earthtech. This is liquid copper sulfate at $19 per gallon and a total amount of $60,000. Item 372 is a requisition through the Sheriff's Office for Beatty Construction. This is for the renovation work for the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office headquarters in the main lobby. The amount is $48,295.81.
All right. Next item, please.
Item 373 is a requisition through the Water Resources Department through the Engineering Division for ESI Professional Engineering Services to assist with design replacement of the existing ozone generators with new ozone generators at the Gees Mill Water Treatment Plant. The amount is $98,440. Item 374 is a requisition through the Rockdale Water Resources Department Engineering Division for EDEC to provide electrical, instrumentation, and controls design and CA for the Gees Mill Water Treatment Plant ozone generator replacement. The amount is $19,500. Item 375 is a requisition through the Water Resources Wastewater Division. This is for Exum Water Solutions USA. This is the replacement pump at the Springwood Pump Station. The amount is $28,583.91. Item 376 is an expenditure request for CSX transportation through the Water Resources Department. This is for the CSX agreement for the jack and board. The amount is $22,928.64. Item 377 is an expenditure request through the CSX transportation for the Water Resources Department. This is through the CSX agreement for the jack and bore. The amount is $15,795.55. Item 378 is also an expenditure request for CSX transportation through the Water Resources Department with the CSX agreement for the jack and bore. The amount is $20,885.92. Item 379 is an expenditure request for GDOT for the Water Resources Department. This is for the water facilities installation on behalf of Rockdale County at the SR 138 at CR8/CR15 East. The amount is $222,900. Item 380 is an expenditure request through the Tax Commissioner's Office for GTS. This is for the payment covering May 2023 for delinquent notice fees for technical service agreement. The amount is $37,494.31. Item 381 is an expenditure request through Velocio through the Technology to Services Department. This is for E1 maintenance renewal, McCormick enhancement plan renewal, the Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains plan renewal. The amount is $22,972.50. Item 382 is an expenditure request through the Grady Health System for the Sheriff's Office. This is for the off-site medical bill for Grady Health System's Hospital for Inmate Care. The amount is $68,217.58.
So did we have inmates that needed off-site care? Was that what that's for?
Yes, ma'am. So occasionally, the sheriff's office will have an inmate or two or three that, for whatever reason, has to be transported to a trauma center. And of course, Grady is the nearest one to us, and that could be quite expensive over time. So That is our invoice.
Well, the reason I asked is just because if the inmate has any kind of insurance, while it won't pay for inmate services inside the jail, it will pay for services outside.
Okay.
Right, thank you. Item 383 is an expenditure request for the Cobb County Revenue and License Administration through the Water Resources Department. This is for sewage treatment for May 2023. The amount is $79,205.79. Item 384 is a change in conditions case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1076 Honey Creek Road Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013 from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District to impose conditions upon the property to impose conditions upon the amendment to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday.
So why do we have to change zoning? When it's
Conditions are a part of the zoning and they go with the property.
Oh,
So
this
the
is just
zone-
to change the
Right, the
conditions.
zoning will stay the same, but the conditions will be changing.
Got it.
That is correct.
Also,
All right.
Deputy Director
Thank you.
Wheeler.
He just,
to confirm.
Deputy Director Wheeler just certified what you,
It's always good to be validated, I'm going to say it. I mean, thank you,
next
Deputy
item,
Director.
please.
Item 385 is future land use case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at 1816 Parker Road from the commercial future land use category to the high-density future land use category to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 386 is future land use case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from the office institutional future land use category to the high-density future land use category to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 387 is with Phoenix Crane Rental Company through the Fire and Rescue Department. This is for a crane rental to move storage containers for the burn building in the amount of $2,367, and this is a one-time service. And item 388 is a request for volunteer appointments, 1 to the Planning Commission and 4 to the Board of Adjustment. I have sent some volunteers that are interested. We need to fill these positions, and that will be on your agenda for next Tuesday for consideration and vote. And we are now down to public comment.
All right.
Do we have?
Do we have no public comments? The director is shaking her head no, there aren't any public comments. And I'm going to make sure that we take a few more minutes just in case somebody have a change of mind or a change of heart and they want to come on and have a little bit to say. All right, moving on into board comments. I'll start with Commissioner Washington. Commissioner?
Well, you know, first of all, you all know I miss you all when we spend so little time together between meetings. So, welcome back. But the segue into that is that we did spend a lot of time together when we were at the NACO conference. And I, once again, enjoy NACO because we get to see what's going on nationwide and get to talk to colleagues all over the country. And it's so interesting that so many of the issues are the same. Housing was one of the predominant issues throughout the country. The lack of housing stock, the lack of affordability throughout the nation, the fact that housing prices has skyrocketed, but the fact that that job salaries has not kept up with that phenomena is something that when you go to NACO, you see that everybody is experiencing the same thing. So NACO conference is amazing. With that, I was recently appointed as the vice chairman for the International Economic Development Task Force. And I'm also been appointed as the inaugural chair for the Women of NACO, our planning commission. So I'm excited to work on a more national, at a national level, coming up with strategies and things, especially to bring back to the county. You all know I've delved into the economic development sector of this county, and just being able to see best practices on an international level, I hope I can bring a whole lot of those resources back to the county. So,
Commissioner, I want to interrupt you to give you a round of applause. I mean, that's yes. Let me just say this, because the commissioner's being very modest when she talk about this appointment as vice chair of the International Economic Development Task Force. When you talk about the fact that there are 3,069 counties throughout the United States, and to participate at this level and be able to represent Rockdale County, this region, is a huge deal. Being on a platform where you're in the room with major decision makers and able to usher in opportunities, funding, grants, dollars, any type of resources that will enhance not only the region, but certainly Rockdale County. It's a big deal. We won't downplay it at all. Y'all give her another round of applause.
thank you. The next thing is, of course, my suitcase drive for the youth. It will be August the 5th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., 975 Taylor Street. We're still taking donations, early donations. A lot of suitcases are over at the admin building. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's already donated. I'm hoping, my goal is 500 suitcases.
Wow.
I would like to, for these children, like I've said before, when these children go into foster care, that's probably the worst day of their life. And to make that transition with trash bags has got to be equally hard and humiliating. So if you can't give a new trash bag, a new suitcase, make sure that it's the suitcase that you give is something that these children can have some decorum about themselves, and not something that that is less prideful. We want these children to have a little bit of pride in how they have to transition. So once again, the suitcase for foster care youth is this coming up Saturday from 9 to 12, 975 Taylor Street. That is the DFAC's headquarters, and we would like new or very gently used suitcases. And a lot of times children don't have the toiletries they need, so if you can put some toiletries in the suitcases, that would be even better. Also, I would like to thank Aetna for they gave a considerable donation to the suitcase drive. They were at the NACO conference, and they said how much they do for the community. So I said, well, I have the perfect project for you all to show me rather than tell me, and they did come through significantly. So I'd like to thank them for that. Last week, all my days are running together. Commissioner, State Representative Doreen Carter and I had a executive for the United States Department of Agriculture, Mr. Arthur Tripp, visit Rockdale and talk about a lot of resources that are available from the Department of Agriculture that we have no idea. That you can do things like, you only have to have 1/100th of an acre of land and designate that, and now then you're eligible for all kinds of federal resources, like planting a chair if you want to plant a fruit tree. in your front yard, then you get that plot of land designated, and they will help you with fruit trees, all kinds of grant opportunities and things like that. This is a wonderful, wonderful presentation, a lot of good information, a lot of ideas. You know, Jason hates to see my name, Jason Redmond, pop up on his phone because he knows that I have work for him to do, but I have a whole lot of ideas on ways that we can possibly use a lot of that information for Rockdale County. Finally, last weekend also was the NACA. I don't want to get NACA confused with NACO. NACA, the conference, that the home buyers workshop that they had here in the county. It was phenomenal. There were people from all over the state. They had representatives from your hometown, Chairman Augusta, come to Rockdale County to look at the presentation, as well as the mayor of Selma, Alabama, came to Rockdale County to look at the presentation. There had to be, over the day we were there had to be at least 2,000-3,000 people come through, so it was 3 days. So I would say about at least 6,000 people came through when we were there. There were people who actually qualified for their home there. Just a tremendous program. You know, we can't endorse anything, but part of the program is a 0% zero down payment, below market rate interest rate, as well as no closing costs for the home buyer. So that helps with the affordability piece of the equation. So I would like to thank everybody, especially PR, they were there for a long time. Parks and Recreation, code enforcement was out making sure that the parking was around the corner and down the street. It was a very well organized and well-attended event, and I was so glad that we were able to host that here in Rockdale County. Finally, my last announcement is that the East Metro Business Network, my small business networking opportunity, will be back in business on the 8th, August the 8th, from 6 to 9. Our new location is Azure Lounge. They will be hosting a comedy show after. So we're now calling it Connections and Comedy. Come for the connections, stay for the comedy at Azure Lounge from 6 to 9, and however long you can stay up past your bedtime for the comedy. But please come out if you have a small business, or if you just want to be connected to small businesses. And that's all I have.
Wow. Commissioner, that was a lot. I'm sure you're subject to think of something else in just a second. We'll go to Commissioner Williams.
So it has been a really busy couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so since our last meeting. So let me just start. One of the things that we did before going to NACO was we had Dementia Spotlight Foundation came and did some training for Ms. Golston and I, and me, and a number of different folks from senior services, so that we can begin to put things in place for a community that is dementia friendly. It was, and so that training was really interesting, and I think the most impactful thing for me was the chart she gave us that showed, so what is common with old age, and how does that compare with someone with dementia? Because the older you get and you forget stuff, you know, my mother used to say, you know, she and her friends would always say, is this the big A? Meaning Alzheimer's. Because sometimes, especially if there's a family history, then you do get concerned about where you are fitting. So we've got a lot going on, and I spoke at the Senior Center Friday, and invited people to join a focus group where we're going to have several different focus groups, but the first one will be people who are living with dementia and their caregivers, so that we can find out exactly what they would like to see here in the county. And of course, everything we're doing is in connection with senior services. And so I'm kind of excited about that. Next week, or in couple of weeks, we're going to a memory cafe that the Spotlight Foundation does once a month. This is in Roswell, and it's activities and speakers and that kind of thing for people living with dementia and their caregivers. So that initiative is moving along, and as Anna was talking this morning about ARC and senior services, I thought, oh, maybe I need to engage with ARC to see what kinds of opportunities they have for assistance in developing a plan for our county. At NACO, you know, it's so good to see, again, like Commissioner Washington said, all the similarities across the United States. It almost doesn't matter if you're rural, if you're, you know, a small county, medium county, or even a large urban county. Most of the critical issues are the same. Mm-hmm. And right now, those center around housing, transportation, and mental health. And there were a lot of workshops on housing, but there were a lot of workshops on mental health. And we had a big showing from Georgia. Mm-hmm. And they took a picture of everybody from Georgia that was at the mental health summit. I think we probably had more people than any other state represented at that mental health summit. And you know, I've got so much information, but and part of that mental health talking that was health. I serve on that health steering committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Helen Stone, who's from Georgia. Mm-hmm. And the theme was housing is health care, because you can't really talk about health care unless you have stable housing. And so, a lot of those mental health meetings also talked about the need for supportive housing, for transitional housing, for to be able to house people so that they could begin to become stabilized. But you can't just give them someplace to live. You have to provide all the services and the wraparound support to help them transition from homelessness to housing. And HUD is putting up funds for unsheltered housing, which I thought was interesting. And here's another thing. Seniors are the fastest growing population of homelessness. I had no idea. So, you know, I know that I hope you're going to talk about your homeless task force to share that information, because there's just a critical need.
It is.
Then I serve on the mental health committee that ACCG put together. I co-chair one of the subcommittees on community partnerships, and all of the co-chairs and that leadership had an opportunity to go down into Atlanta yesterday to the Department of Behavioral Health, and they put on, they had speakers from all different departments of DBHDD, And Commissioner Kevin Tanner was there and spoke, and I think we're going to see some good things coming out of that department. But there's a real critical need, and as chair of the Health and Human Services Policy Committee for ACCG, there's a real need to make sure that House Bill 520 passes this year without being diluted too much. One of the things, again, yesterday they talked about permanent supportive housing and how that is, you've got to meet those basic needs of shelter and food and, you know, before you can even address any of the health problems. Also, I went to NACA on Friday, and I was shocked at the parking that was unavailable. But I'm super impressed with what they are doing for residents in helping them to get mortgages. No down payment, no closing costs, and no PMI, private mortgage insurance either, which can really tack on a chunk onto your mortgage payment. And their interest rate is lower than the going interest rate. NACA is a nonprofit organization, and their whole idea is to build generational wealth. Also, but then on Sunday, as I was driving home from church, I came up Parker Road, and the entire parking lot areas were full.
Yes.
And I saw NACA cars going up and down. So apparently they were shuttling people from Parker Road over. So I know when I talked to the CEO of NACA, he said they had a big crowd on Friday. They expected more on Saturday and Sunday. And apparently they did, because it was really full. The last thing is that I'll be hosting my 5th annual Nonprofit Appreciation Brunch on August 17th out at Costley Mill. We're really excited this year. The theme is Service is Our Love Language. And I love that. When I heard that and I bounced it off of Deidre, I gave her a list. I said, which theme do you like the best? Oh, definitely this one. Well, I didn't tell her which one I liked the best. I liked that one too. Service is our love language. And we're excited that Karen Greer, who is on WSB, I think, TV, at one of the news people. She's very well recognized, very well, she's received a number of different awards. She will be our keynote speaker for that. So those are my comments.
All right, Commissioner Washington?
One more. I forgot to commend Parks and Rec for the summer concert series on Sunday. We were outside. We had a ball. We had a good time. It's a good time by all. And then I loved the way the staging was for this summer concert series with the black drop, the marketing. It looked very professional. It was a great time. Had by all, and thank you all, Parks and Rec, and everybody who had something to do. And then we recognized our fire chief. I can't see her from over there, but that was a great, a good recognition also for people to see our amazing fire chief. And I commend you for recognizing her, because not everybody has the opportunity to commemorate history in the making. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, very good. Well, that's a perfect segue for me to, when you talk about the summer concert series, you're absolutely correct. And I have to commend Director Redmond, because he participated in a national conference that focuses on arts, culture, and entertainment. As a result of that, you saw this very professional stage that we now have out at Coastal Mill to host all of our entertainment and our performers there. But that's just the beginning of several things that you're going to see. Director Redmond took copious notes. He was engaged in all of the breakouts. I don't know whether he actually took a break during the Arts, Culture, and Entertainment Conference, but he did some serious networking, and he just said, Chairman, watch, just watch. So we're watching, and we were able to see the results of that this past Sunday at the summer concert series. And I believe we have 2 more concerts coming up before the summer wraps up. Thanks to Chief McDaniel and bringing out our brand new support vehicle and putting it on display so that people in the community can see that we're not leaving anybody left on the side of the road in Rockdale County. If our regular ambulance service is not available or unavailable, we don't want to chance someone not getting to the emergency room or whatever the case may be. We have 2 very capable support vehicles that can get them there in a timely fashion. So I think it was a great way to kind of expose the vehicles and the service that we're going to be providing through fire and rescue here in Rockdale County. And you're going to be seeing these vehicles even more as we move forward. The NACA event, oh my goodness, well over 3,000 people in attendance Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is a result when we talk about these national conferences. So I had an opportunity to serve as the keynote speaker at the Alabama State Commissioners Conference just last year, where I met the CEO of NACA, Mr. Bruce Marks. I said, listen, I see you all the time downtown Atlanta with this wonderful program. What about Rockdale County? He says, set it up, we'll make it happen. We employed the help and services of the dynamic Tisha Carter. She led this project as our project manager from A through Z. This was about a 4-month project that we had to get it all set up. Then Parks and Recreation with Johnson Park, Fire and Rescue, we made sure that we had all of our emergency services there. The Sheriff's Office, Code Enforcement got a big round of applause. They did a wonderful job Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you're absolutely right. The shuttle service from Parker Road to Ebenezer Road, Johnson Park was just second to none. People were blessed throughout Rockdale County. Now, this is a follow-up program. This is not a one-time. They gave these folks workshops and clinics on how to address their credit, how to address beginning the home buying process. So it's a wonderful program. Even when I posted the flyer on social media, people who had already participated talked about and gave kudos to this program as it helped them become homeowners. So it's a wonderful program. We've never had that here in Rockdale County. When you talk about the housing crisis, when you talk about homeless, this is what it's all about, meeting people where they are. So I really say hats off to Ms. Tisha Carter, hats off to the commissioners for supporting this program. And when we go out to these conferences and do the networking, it allows us, I really don't think the opportunity to serve as keynote speaker in Alabama was all about me talking to the folks in Alabama. It was all about meeting Bruce Marks from NACA to be able to bring this program here to Rockdale County for our residents. But let me just say this, it wasn't limited to Rockdale County. I want to be clear, all 3,000 plus of those people were not Rockdale County residents. We have had people coming from all around the region to participate in this program. But the mere fact that we hosted it in Rockdale County and provided an outlet and an avenue, a vehicle for our people, speaks volumes for the leadership and what we're trying to do for the folks in this community. It was a packed house on Sunday. I was there. We almost had church in the middle of trying to get people in the homes. It was a wonderful experience. It just pricked my heart to see so many people out there. And then to be proud of our team, Parks and Rec, Code Enforcement, the Fire Department, Sheriff's Office. It was a well-oiled machine. We used every crack and crevice of Johnson Park facility. So hats off to them and the fine work they're doing.
So can I just
Yes.
add to that? So they also partner with a builder who had on site a manufactured home. These are not, what do you call, mobile homes?
Right. They're modular.
Right, they're not trailers. Go ahead.
They're not. They are manufactured off-site and then brought in. And they had one set up, and you have to have your own land, but the house, the one that they were showing, runs somewhere around $120,000 to $140,000. And it was nice.
It was really nice.
And when I spoke with the CEO of NACA, he said, yes, but the ones they're doing now are, for us, are even better because they have 9.5-foot ceilings. So.
You're absolutely right, Commissioner. It was great to have that home on site for people to see. One of the things I said to Mr. Marks when I met him in Alabama, I had an opportunity to talk about bringing this project, this program to Rockdale County. I don't believe in giving people false hope. And I wanted to make sure that this program wasn't a hocus pocus program, because when people put in their time and their energy and make an effort to come out, they're looking for results, they're looking for answers, and they're looking for a way out. And there were well over 3,000 people who received a way. My message when I spoke to the crowd of folks on Sunday was, look, we brought it here. Now you've got to take ownership by doing your own follow-up and follow-through. It's one thing to come out and be a part of filling out the forms and going through the process, but you've got to do your part to follow through and make sure that it can work out for you. And I believe that when people follow up and follow through with this program, they'll be able to come back and give their testimony as we bring it back in the spring of next year. So it's a lot of excitement there. I want to take this moment as we move toward the close of our meeting to call up Director Mims and just, Director Mims, I'll call you. You should be moving like you're on The Price is Right. When I said your name, you should have just popped up. And then come on, tell us about some of these upcoming programs.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Madam Commissioners and Mr. Chairman. So we have a lot of things coming up in Rockdale County, but the first thing I want to do is invite the citizens to please stay tuned with our website and all of our social media platforms about all of these wonderful activities. We will have the NACA recap video up and ready for you all next week because we're so excited. There was so much footage. We needed a little bit more time. But I do want Janetta to bring up some of these flyers that we have this week. We also have movie cinemas. Is it Sunset Cinema? Okay, Sunset Cinema on the beach at Johnson Park, a free activity for our citizens through our Parks and Recreation Department. We also have next week Shop Talk hosted by the chairman at Headquarters Barbershop. That's an opportunity for the citizens to meet with the elected officials and staff and ask any questions in a very natural setting. Next slide. We have the nonprofit, the summer concert. But one of the things I do want to talk about is the Rockin' Women brunch. Do you have that video? So coming soon, we've just placed on social media, the nominations are now open for the chairman's Rockin' Women. Here it is. We're going to go ahead and play the video.
Do you know a Rockin' Woman? Nominations for the Rockin' Women in Rockdale Honors event open August 1st to acknowledge the Rockin' Women in our community. Nominate a woman you know to be honored at the event on Sunday, October 22nd, 3 p.m. at the Costly Mill Event Center. Nominations are open August 1st and close September 1st. Information and nomination links can be found at rockdalecountyga.gov.
Thank you. And this is for all the women in Rockdale County. If they have a business or they work in Rockdale County, please nominate a phenomenal woman that works in Rockdale County. This event is held every 2 years, and it will take place Sunday, October 22nd at Costly Mill. So that's just some of the activities and events we have coming up.
Well, thank you so much, Director Mims. I do want to just echo a little bit about the Rockin' Women event. She says we do it every other year here in Rockdale County, and it has become one of the most popular events in Rockdale County. So we started early this year to make sure that if you know of a woman who's deserving to be a recipient of a Rockin' Women Award, please go on to the link or the website or the address that's printed on the flyer so that you can nominate that individual to be one of the recipients. Last year, we was featured. Our keynote speaker was our very own Chief Marion McDaniel. She served as, not last year, but the year before last, she served as our keynote speaker. And this year, we have a special treat who's going to be serving as the keynote speaker for our Rockin' Women. But please, and let me say this because this happens all the time, don't text the chairman. I'm not making the decision. I'm not getting in trouble with all the women in Rockdale County. Don't text me. Follow the rules. They have a website and they have a process that you go through. So go through that process, and they're in charge. And we're excited about bringing it out at Costler Mill once again. So it's a big event. All of our events, as the director stated, that's just a snapshot of so many different things we have here in Rockdale County. Please, ma'am, please, sir, visit the website, go to our social media platforms. You can pick up much more information about what's happening. Now, Executive Director Rutledge, just before I check in with you and the Chief, I want to clarify something because I've asked Mr. Keith Thomas to come back into the auditorium. We are looking for, tell us about the appointments of these different boards and what's going on in that space, because there are a lot of folks who want to be active in the county and they need to know a little bit more how that process works. Please.
Sure, absolutely. So let me first start out by saying we have about somewhere between 18 and 20 active volunteer boards, commissions, and authorities. And at any given time, we are always looking and accepting applications for those. Right now, we have openings on the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment, which the board will be voting on next Tuesday. But we also have things like the Library Board, the Animal Control Board, the Hospital Authority. We have several things happening all the time. Now, if you are interested in serving, you can go to the website and fill out an application and send it in. You can email myself at jennifer.rutledge@rockdalecountyga.gov. You could also reach out to Patty Pearson in the Board of Commissioners office through her email at patty.pearson@rockdalecountyga.gov, or you can contact the Board of Commissioners office at 770-278-7001. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Thomas, thank you for your time. I knew that you were here at the start of our meeting, and I know you've got a robust day ahead of you. Please, if you get an opportunity, follow up with Executive Director Rutledge. She can give you even more information beyond the announcement she made. Thank you so much. Chief Sanders, any upcoming information that we need to be sharing with the public during this platform?
Good afternoon. Just one quick thing. At the next meeting, we'll have the flyer ready to go, but just mark your calendars. We are off and running on the strategic plan, so we will have the kickoff meeting on Wednesday, August 16th from 5 to 8 p.m. It'll be a drop-in at CE Steel. So we're really excited, and Ms. Chester will be having more information in the days ahead, but we are off and running.
Give me the date, time, and location once again, because I don't want, and I want you to give it to Ms. Slow, because I want to make sure that folks can hear it, write it down, and that they are well. Chief Sanders.
Wednesday, August 16th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the CE Steel Community Center. It is a drop-in, so if you can't come right at 5, you can drop in any time between 5 and 8, and we really need the community's input to shape the future plan.
Outstanding. Thank you, Chief. I want to, I just had one of those moments, Commissioner Williams. I knew I was going to say something, but it just slipped.
If you can remember that you forgot.
If I can remember that I forgot, then I'll be headed in the right
You're
direction.
good.
Okay, I think I'm headed in the right direction. All right, so let me say this, and there it is. You did, well, it worked. You, boy, she is a mental health guru. It really worked. So what I was going to say, here in Rockdale County, today marks the first day of school for public school in Rockdale County. School is wide open. Why am I talking about it? Let me just tell you, we need you to slow down as you go through the school zones. We have young people, babies catching the school bus. They're getting on in the morning, they're getting off in the afternoon. Slow down as you go through the school zones and in the neighborhoods. Our children are out. Now check this out. It's still very much summer. It's hot out there. super, super hot. So make sure you are hydrated. But really, I'm talking about going through our school zones, particularly in the areas where our schools are and in the neighborhoods where young people are boarding and unboarding the school buses. Please slow down and put that cell phone down, please, and pay attention to what you're doing. School is wide open, it's rocking and rolling in Rockdale County, and I want to say hats off to all of our local educators, our school bus drivers, and also to our school crossing guards, our wonderful custodians in all of our schools, and you cannot forget the lunchroom lady. Jason Redmond, I knew how you was in love with that lunchroom lady down there in Chatham County, because I've heard you talk about her, how she gave you those extra slices of school pizza over and over and over again. So we'll give a big shout out to the lunchroom lady here in Rockdale County. Executive Director Rutledge, is there any need for executive session this afternoon?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Tuesday, happy August. This meeting is adjourned.